Welcome to the May edition of Northeast Journal. I'm your host, Joe Cullen. Coming up in the next half hour, we'll be bringing you our show from the newly renovated White Bear Lake Library. We'll learn why area residents are trying to end the use of the R word, and we'll find out why giant insects are invading the Northeast metro area. All that and more is straight ahead on Northeast Journal. The Ramsey County Library branch in White Bear Lake was closed for about a year while a major renovation project took place. Well, the construction is complete and we're bringing you this month's show from the newly reopened library. Here's a look at the grand opening festivities which were held here recently. There were plenty of reasons to celebrate recently at the Ramsey County Library branch in White Bear Lake.
This is a really exciting day. We've gotten to open the White Bear Lake Library. We were closed almost 12 months, and so it was kind of hard on the community to be without our services. But you can see, we've had a really huge crowd here, and we have a lot to show the community about how we've improved the building.
After 40 years in the same building, it was time for a renovation project at the White Bear Lake Library. The project created over 3,700 new square feet, an expanded and redesigned children's area, 8 new study rooms, and much more. A grand opening was held in mid-April that hundreds of residents turned out for. The morning began with speakers, including Kim Vanderwall, who is the chair of the Ramsey County Library Board.
We want to thank all of you in White Bear Lake who have donated, shared your ideas, advocated for this library, and made it such a vibrant cornerstone of your community. You guys rock.
Ramsey County Commissioner Victoria Reinhardt also spoke at the grand opening.
This community is, I think, very, very special, and the surrounding communities in the way we pull together to make sure that things happen that are going to be good for generations to come. And this is just an example of that.
After the speeches, a ribbon cutting let everyone out into the library to explore for the first time. White Bear Lake Mayor Joe Emerson was thrilled to be there.
It means everything because libraries are my passion. I have always loved libraries, and to have this new facility and this enlarged children's area is just very special. And to see the crowd that came out today, it's wonderful.
Library staff were scattered around the county while the renovation took place for a year. They're thrilled now to be back home.
We've been working so hard to get it opened. We haven't had that moment to really take a breath and appreciate it. I left sort of late last night and the sun was setting, and I had this moment where I could just look at the library without anybody in it, and it took my breath away. I'm very, very thrilled with the outcome.
Later in the show, we'll talk with the director of the Friends of the Ramsey County Libraries to learn how they helped make this library come to life. Let's switch gears now, though, and find out how athletes from Special Olympics of Minnesota are raising awareness about the use of the R word. Producer Mary Klein and photographer Nicholas Anderson have the story.
The R word, I am talking about the word retard or retarded. Like me, I'm sure many of you have heard these words used in a negative manner either in school or in the community. They probably think that people with intellectual disabilities are either dumb or stupid.
Spend just a minute with children who have special needs.
Good job, Brad.
And the word stupid quickly disappears from one's vocabulary.
Yes! Woo!
22-year-old Abby Hirsch takes every opportunity to educate the uneducated about people with disabilities. She relishes her role as athlete, advocate, and ambassador for the Special Olympics of Minnesota.
Let's hear it again for Abby Hirsch.
Her passion for spreading the word to end the R word is paralleled only by her passion to compete. It was competing, after all, that drew her from her proverbial shell.
The minute you get me in the water at first, I thought I couldn't do it because I was afraid to have water at my nose, but now I'm a great swimmer. I actually just came back swimming nationally in Princeton, New Jersey.
That's the case with most special athletes. When given the opportunity to shine, they often discover their star burns bright. It gives them a new perspective on what some outsiders may call a disadvantage.
If you haven't, worked with this population of people, don't be intimidated. They're great. They're so accepting and they're so fun. And I think everyone who volunteers, you just get a sense of the transformative nature of Special Olympics and how, an athlete can come in just quiet and shy and they can, get a basketball and their whole world can change.
And change their world it does. Being around others with disabilities gives them comfort and a sense of community. Community that supports them during the darker days, especially the days when they're called retarded.
I can tell you from my experiences by hearing that word, and they actually corrected me at it more than once. It felt like a hot knife in my stomach and twisted. I just sick of that word.
The R word is perhaps harder on parents of children with special needs than the kids themselves. Rochelle Tillison believes people who use the word simply don't understand how hurtful it is.
When I found out that our daughter was going to be born with Downs, I wasn't worried about the challenges. What I knew was going to be the hardest were the days that she came home from school crying because of what people said and did to her. And the R word that's included. That was our first night where she came home crying. That was our first hit, and that's been the hardest.
Parent Leslie Salini has coached her son Sean's basketball team for 5 years.
Spread out, guys, spread out. Make sure you got somebody covered.
She was 35 when she got pregnant with Sean. As is standard procedure for women of a certain age, doctors asked about genetic testing to detect Down syndrome.
1, 2, 3, pairs!
Along with her family, they decided they would not. They would accept what life rolled their way, and what did is a spirit so bright, she can't see life without him.
I can tell you I could have the worst day at work, and I look forward to coming home every single night because the first thing he does is he'll run down the stairs and say, "Mom," and he just runs and gives me a big hug and a kiss, and I missed you, and I'm so glad you're home, and I don't get that at the office.
In White Bear Lake, students with and without special needs play sports together on a unified team. It helps sharpen their skills, improve fitness, and break down prejudices about intellectual disability. And it's this sense of togetherness, community, that helps special athletes and their families.
It shows people that they're not any different than any other child. 1 second. Nice job, Sean.
Just like many other students, Sean has big dreams. He plans to go to college, move into a house with friends, and enjoy all that life has to offer, just like any other kid. But to Leslie and any other parent with a child with special needs, it's the outside world that can be the biggest hurdle. The people who don't understand or simply don't ask. Joe Cullen and his wife Tani were thrilled to welcome a baby boy into their home in Hearts over 9 years ago. Around age 2, they noticed he seemed to be closing himself up to the world opening around him, and was diagnosed several months later with autism. Since then, Joe has become sensitive to the R word and now understands the lasting imprint it can make.
It's so easy to just throw it out casually and not realizing that, that could be harmful and offensive to people. And, this doesn't mean, everyone's just trying to be all PC all the time and, you gotta be politically correct, not use this word, but it just seems like there's a lot of other words that could be used. And, not only is it harmful for the parents, but also harmful, obviously, for the kids and people with special needs.
Joe, along with more than 500,000 people, have officially pledged to spread the word to end the word. And although change does not always come easy, a small and unified army will continue to fight hard.
I'd like everyone to stand up and raise your right hand. Let's all pledge not to use the R word. Repeat after me. I pledge not to use the R word.
I pledge not to use the R word.
And on count of 3, I want you to unify as loud as you absolutely can. 1, 2, 3, unify! 1, 2, 3, unify! 1, 2, 3, unify! All right,
It's time for a short break. We'll be right back with more information about the new White Bear Lake Library.
Heroes come from small towns.
Many of our heroes coming home from wars in Iraq and Afghanistan have a new battle, unemployment. Hello, I'm Rocky Lynn.
I'm Sergeant Dejan Farrell.
And I'm Captain Ron Jarvie. The unemployment rate for today's veteran is 12%.
That's twice the average of others living here in the Heartland.
This year, tribute to the troops, the armed forces, and members of the Upper Midwest ME chapter are asking you to help. Hire today's veteran.
To hire today's veteran, visit positivelyminnesota.com/veterans.
Welcome back to Northeast Journal from the new White Bear Lake Library. I'm now joined by Sue Garretts, who is the Executive Director of the Friends of the Ramsey County Libraries. Sue, welcome to Northeast Journal.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
I know we had you on, the last time I had you on was right before they closed down the White Bear Lake Library, and then for about a year we had construction here, but now, obviously, as you can see around us, it's open, so I imagine you must just be thrilled to be standing here today.
Oh, absolutely. It seems like the time flew by. We were really busy raising extra money so that we could put amenities into the building. As one of our donors said, and I think this was very creative, she said, "Oh, I get it. The county builds the house and you make it a home." So that's what we raised money to do.
And before we get too far into this interview, for people out there who aren't familiar with what the Friends of the Ramsey County Libraries are, what does your group do?
Well, we are a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and since 1979, we have been raising private money to support programs and equipment and renovations of the libraries in suburban Ramsey County. So that's primarily our job, is to make sure that our libraries are as welcoming spaces with really great programs and equipment.
So what are some of the things that you did here in this library? I mean, it's a beautiful library, and like you said, I mean, there's a lot of, the fine details that you guys were responsible for.
Right. Well, the first thing we did was funded a fireplace. And the fireplace, especially in Minnesota, is really important because those winter days when you want to just hunker down with a magazine or a book and read, and to have that fireplace glowing, and it's really wonderful. So we funded that. The next thing we funded was the sliding glass room divider, which allows for flexibility and use of the space for the community meeting room and the children's area. Then we are obligated to fund a good part of the outdoor garden, which it will be working on all summer, and want to do a wonderful job of landscaping and have a paver patio and butterfly garden and many, many nice features there. Another thing that we raised money for here was something called an iPlay, which is an interactive system that they have about 30 different activities, and it's really fun for all ages, but especially for the kids. In addition to that, we worked with the Minnesota Children's Museum to design and build and install a sailboat in the preschool area. This enables our littlest folk to use their imagination, and of course sailboats are really an important part of the history and the current use of the lake in this community. Art is something that the county does not fund, and so we are in the process of raising money to acquire and install pieces of art. We've already started. We've got 2 pieces in so far,
but we need to do a lot more than that. So these are the major kinds of things. In addition, we are raising money to add more items to the lending collection. And it's been an exciting campaign. We'll continue with the campaign through the end of 2015.
So if people are still interested in donating, you'll gladly accept those donations.
Oh, absolutely. And we have lots of different ways to recognize the donors if they want to be recognized. For a $35 donation, their name or name of someone they want to honor can go in a book plate that's put inside one of the books in the opening collection. For $300, they can get an 8-inch by 8-inch brick paver that will be installed in the outdoor garden, and they can have up to 20 characters aligned, 6 lines on their paver. So far we've ordered 83 pavers, and they should be arriving any day now and to be installed.
I'm sure that'll be exciting, you know, once those are installed.
Right.
Especially for the people who donated.
Yes, and any individual, family, organization, or business that donates at least $500, their name goes on a plaque in the lobby. That's supposed to be installed next week. So we had 62 names on that plaque so far, and space to add more. And then we have some exciting opportunities to have names on rooms and areas in the building. The study rooms, a couple of them have already been named, but we've got more available. And naming opportunities start at $5,000.
So plenty of opportunities, big or small, if people are interested in donating. And I imagine you had to have been thrilled. Earlier in our show, we showed some footage from the grand opening celebration we had, but I know you were there, and there was just such a great turnout from not only, you know, library and county people, but also just the community that came out.
It was so much fun to watch people's jaws drop when they came in the front entrance. And based on our account, we believe that there were 2,900 people who came between 10 and 5 that day. So it was quite a party.
Well, it was neat to see, you know, everything from, you know, senior citizens to little babies. You know, I think every generation was definitely represented here. And even as the ribbon was getting ready to cut, there were little kids with their little book bags just waiting to run out there. And there was like 1 million kids on the sailboat, and just so excited to check everything out.
Well, it turned out, I think, to exceed our expectations on what this library could be transformed into with a good architect and help from the community and donations coming through our Friends organization.
I imagine it was probably kind of emotional for you and the rest of the members of the Friends to know. I mean, you know, it's been a long time coming. There's obviously a lot of planning. This doesn't happen overnight. And to all of a sudden have that day where it's open and people are using it and just enjoying all the features of it.
Especially knowing that it's lighter, brighter, more cheerful environment, lots of natural light coming in. One of the things we're working on for our art committee is add some stained glass to the window areas in the children's area, which will be fun. And so we'll continue to change and add things. And so if people have been here just once, each time they come back, they'll probably see something new. We hope so.
Yeah, that's great. And if people are interested in, you know, getting in touch with the Friends of the Ramsey County Libraries to make a donation or any way that they can help out, what's the best way for them to do that?
Well, we have some information here at White Bear Library on various kinds of donations and even return envelopes that people can use. Our office is in the Shoreview Library, so that's where we're located. And if people want to just talk up and get more information, they can call me at 651-486-2213.
Okay. And I know there's links to everything too on the library website. I think it's rclreads.org, and they can get a link to the Friends website and information from there. So, well, we just thank you so much for coming out today and for all the great work that the Friends have done to make this library so special.
Thank you.
And it's time for another short break. We'll be right back with more of Northeast Journal in just a minute.
I think someone at my friend's school has this thing called autism. My friend's brother's son has autism. My neighbor's son has autism. My son has autism.
Autism is getting closer to home. Today, 1 in 88 children is diagnosed with autism. That's a 1,000% increase in the last 40 years. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs.
Welcome back to Northeast Journal from the brand new White Bear Lake Library. There's a chance you might soon see some giant insects attacking the White Bear Lake area. Luckily, it's just on the big screen though, as a White Bear Lake resident has written and directed his first film called Insectula. Let's take a look. A lifelong love of horror movies and technology drove White Bear Lake resident Mike Peterson to recently create his first feature film. It's called Insectula, and much of the movie was filmed right in White Bear Lake. Peterson, who wrote and directed the movie, tells us what it's about.
A planet of monsters.
Starts on a planet of monsters somewhere in the galaxy or in the universe, and the creature comes from that, searching other planets, looking for a good source of blood, and it's essentially a giant mosquito-type demon thing, and happens upon Earth because of the increased CO2, and mosquitoes are drawn to CO2, and with global warming, you thought, well, that would attract a really big mosquito, and so it lands on Earth and starts attacking White Bear Lake here, and then moves on to St. Paul for greener pastures.
Lobo, would you help me, Lobo?
Insectula proved to be a family affair, as Peterson's daughter was a lead actress, and his wife, Danielle Cezanne, who works for the White Bear Center for the Arts, produced the film.
I just saw that it had potential, and I thought, you know, I help artists grow, and I help them achieve their dreams, and I thought, why shouldn't I help my own husband?
At a certain point of filming, it hit Peterson that he may have been thinking about this movie his whole life.
I did a shot of the First Bank building, and I had the creature land on that, and then I realized that, oh yeah, I used to, when I was little, I used to look at the skyline of St. Paul from the end of my block, and I used to imagine a creature on the First Bank building.
Insectula took about 4 years to complete. The film was screened at the theaters at the Mall of America to sold-out crowds, which gave the filmmakers the chance to see how audiences would react to their movie.
Everybody likes something different about it, or everybody laughs at a different part of it, or they think some parts, and sometimes it's surprising, like you don't even think something's that funny, and then somebody else thinks it's hilarious.
Peterson and Cezanne are currently submitting Insectula to film festivals around the world and are selling DVDs on their website. Peterson believes it's a movie that has a wide potential audience.
If you're a fan at all of kind of tongue-in-cheek movies, or I think any sci-fi nut would probably like it, and I think it's got just a lot of references to, tons of references to other movies, and little parodies and stuff. So I think it's a fun film.
To learn more about Insectula or to buy a DVD, visit insectula.com. Giant insects aren't the only things coming out of White Bear Lake. You might also run into a few large cats with some human qualities. Let's meet White Bear Lake resident Eric Stevens, who makes costumes for furries all over the world. Telling people you design costumes for individuals who like to dress up as cats isn't always immediately understood.
Every single time I tell somebody what I do for a living, they look at me like I have no clue what you're talking about, like I'm speaking Spanish or something. And so I kind of just explain, it's like, yeah, I make mascot costumes. You know, that's the easiest way to do it. For sports teams? No, just for people that want one.
White Bear Lake's Eric Stevens is what is known as a furry, which is a person who likes to dress in animal costumes like cats. They often meet up at conventions and other gatherings in their costumes. After Stevens discovered the furry culture, he wanted to learn how to make a costume for himself. and has since become an in-demand designer with a business called By Cats for Cats, making costumes for furries around the world.
Oh, there's a huge demand for what we do. I mean, we're always booked 6 months in advance. And so I open up for new work every quarter. And then basically we shut down for new work so we can focus on getting production done. Because I could hire 4 or 5 more people and we could probably keep working, no problem.
Stevens mainly designs cat costumes, but also has constructed wolves and dogs, among other animals. He loves collaborating with his customers to give them the costume of their dreams.
Once people have an idea of what they want, usually they'll go to an artist and they'll have an artist sketch out maybe a front and back and a side view of what they would want their character to look like. If somebody just wants a costume from us, I've done that before where people just threw a lot of money at me and they said, make me whatever you want. And that's the kind of stuff I love to do, because then I'm making something that I want to work on, not on somebody else's dream. So we've got about three or four of those suits right now around the world. But most of the time people do have art ready to go and they show it to me, I give them a quote, and off we go from there.
Stevens says there's a strong community of furries throughout the Twin Cities and Minnesota. It's a hobby that has a passionate following.
When you put on a costume, you're not you anymore. You know, it's a total escape from reality. Like if you work a job where you have to deal with customers all day, and it's just kind of a negative thing. And you can just escape, get into it. It's kind of like going to a Vikings football game and the dudes that wear the horns and the braids and they might even paint themselves purple. It's like, well, they wouldn't go to the store dressed like that, but they go to the football game and they're not them, they're this character. They're rooting on their favorite team. So for somebody to put on a cat costume, they're rooting on, hey, cats are freaking awesome. So I'm gonna wear this thing, and it's a total loss of inhibitions. It's great.
For more information about the costumes Stevens makes, visit his website at bycatsforcats.com.
That's all we have time for from the White Bear Lake Library. Thanks for tuning in, and join us again next month for another edition of Northeast Journal.